Hey everybody. Have to take James off. Hey everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday and welcome to the Gold Wellness Alzheimer's virtual event. It's also a fundraiser, but we are going to be giving you some amazing gems and some facts and information about Alzheimer's. We've been hosting this event now for 4 years. This is actually our 5th year. And I started hosting, I'm Deborah Dixon-Anderson from Gold Wellness Circle. I have been hosting this event in honor of my mom, Tootie. And Tootie was amazing. Let me see if I could bring up her picture real quick. So we're doing it in honor of her. She passed away over 4 years ago and she had Alzheimer's. She had Alzheimer's at the same time that I actually had breast cancer. So that was kind of a double whammy. But we host this event to really educate people about Alzheimer's and dementia and how it impacts our family. So the purpose of our event today is to share some resources, to give you advice, to give you some gems that you can incorporate into your own life. The other thing to keep in mind that's a wonderful resource is also going to be the Alzheimer's Association. The Alzheimer's Association is amazing. My family actually use them as well. And so we definitely always highly recommend them. They've been a wonderful partner of ours for years as we've hosted this event. Some of our other partners, so Jade, I might need you to pull up our regular Alzheimer's flyer up on the stage. Some of our other partners include the K District and Katani Branham Gray, who's been a wonderful event partner working alongside me with a lot of our events and our imagery, our graphic design. She's been a long time, really 9-year partner of mine. So we love Katani, and she may pop in or she may be watching us. And so if you are Katani, hope you're doing well today. Our other wonderful partner is Juneteenth. Juneteenth is amazing. So before going too much further, I'd like to pull up some of all of the amazing events that Light of Gold PR and Gold Wellness Circle has been a part of with Juneteenth. So Jade, if you could pull up maybe some of our flyers, Gracie Mansion, Black King. So we were also guests over at Gracie Mansion at the Mayor's Mansion, New York City Mayor Eric Adams' mansion. And so we were all physically there celebrating Juneteenth just a couple weeks ago. I mean, we've had like 2 weeks at least of events. So it's been a lot going on. And they did a fantastic job. If you could bring up the other flyer, Jade, for the Black Kings, please, you could bring that up. Next, so the Black Kings Awards is one of Juneteenth's fabulous awards that they honor Black men who do fabulous things in the community. And so I was honored to actually elect a Black King myself. And it's just amazing, all of the amazing men that do so many things in our communities. And so that was the purpose of that event. And then last but not least, you should see the CBS one. Usually because Juneteenth and why is one of the biggest Juneteenths in New York City. The founders, Athenia Rodney, and she does a fantastic job. So she's been interviewed with CBS is one of our media partners. And I had a wonderful time and honor being the PR manager for both CBS and for Channel 11. And they gave us some amazing footage. And so that was also an honor of ours. So it's a lot more going on that they did, but just wanted to give you a little taste of what went on for Juneteenth. And parade, lots of wonderful vendors, great sponsors, great food, amazing entertainment, a fashion show. It was just pretty incredible. So you could take that one down. Jade, let's pull up the just take that one down, and I'll just talk to everybody about some of what we do. So, Go Wellness Circle, 3 pillars. 3 pillars include support for breast cancer survivors. I'm a 7-year breast cancer survivor. So love to give resources for anyone going through treatment right now or any survivors. So, we always have great fundraisers for that as well. You could pull up our DR trip flyer, Jade, if you could find that one. So in October, in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we will be having our Gold Women's Wellness Empowerment Retreat and Getaway from October 22nd through the 26th. It's going to be amazing. First time we're going to be going away to the Dominican Republic. It is to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. It's going to be a fun time. Everything from just beautiful waterfalls. We're also going to be dancing, Zumba classes, private dinners, breathtaking views. It's going to be a fun time. So if you want to register for that, let me know, because it is going to be great. The prices are very reasonable. You could go to gowellnesscircle.com and go to the events link, and you could go ahead and register for that. And that's going to be great as well. So you can take that flyer down. And so the next thing I wanted to share with you is a little bit about our other pillars. Alzheimer's caregiver support, which is the whole purpose of why we're here today. We're going to share some gems and some resources for anyone who is taking care of someone who is going through Alzheimer's. And it's very important as a caregiver to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. A lot of times we don't do that, and I can honestly say that sometimes I didn't do that. And so we're going to have a conversation about that today. Last pillar is food insecurity. A lot of schools, New York City schools, kids coming from homeless circumstances, they don't have the proper supplies. We have made donations and support from the community for these schools to help them. Whether it's flat screens, maybe they don't have all their supplies. We try to support them and adopt a school to help with that. Last but not least, Light of Gold PR is my signature company. We've been doing press, marketing, branding, digital, all that good stuff for over 18 years now. So you could always reach out to us at lightofgoldpr.com. And we would love to be able to help you with everything from your press to your branding to your website, to your advertising, any way that we could support you. We also provide great consulting, and we're here for you with providing all of those amazing services. So let's pull up the statistics slide, Jade. So Alzheimer's statistics. Did you know that about 1 in 9, how scary is that? People age 65 and older has Alzheimer's. That's a lot of people. 83% of the help provided to older adults in the United States comes from family members or other unpaid caregivers. That's where it's coming from. That's why it's so important to provide your own self-care. The vast majority, 99% of Americans, believe that early diagnosis is important. And it is important because it does help you to plan. It does help you to plan. So these statistics are very, very jarring, scary statistics. And we want to be able to help you and support you with that. And so without further ado, I want to bring on my first guest who I've known since birth. So pull up Michelle's flyer for me, Jade, please. So needless to say, we've known each other for all of our lives. So pull up Michelle's. Okay, there we go. So Michelle and I are going to talk about caring for your loved one as they navigate Alzheimer's. We're going to talk about that. We're going to be sharing the stage. And so I'm super excited to have my niece, Michelle, as one of our speakers. So I'm going to add her to the stage with me. Hey, Niecy.
Hello, Auntie. Hello, everyone.
Hey, so excited to have you here. So Michelle, I'm not used to saying Michelle Logan. I'm used to saying Michelle. I'm still getting used to that. So work with me on that. But
Okay, no problem.
yes. But Michelle and I have basically really worked well to partner in taking care of her nana, my mother. And so we were basically on the front lines of a lot of her care. And so we're just going to have like an honest conversation about what that was like. And so one of the things that I like to start with, Michelle, and you could share from your perspective, would be some of the things that we started to notice change with mom, because
Yeah.
a lot of times people don't understand what they're seeing with their loved one, or sometimes they even scold them a little bit. Mom, you remember this, or
Mm.
Dad, you remember
Can't
this.
do that. Can't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And what
don't
am I
do that. Don't
supposed to
make them
do?
feel bad, right? Don't make them feel bad. So we want to be able to talk about that. Before we go on with that, I want to let everybody know that we have two other speakers. When Michelle has to roll off with us, we're going to bring on two wonderful speakers, and that's going to be Casey Carpenter. She's going to be also a fellow feisty. Michelle knows Casey. Casey knows Michelle. So this is all a love fest. And so we're going to have Casey on in a little while after Michelle and I finish. I probably will text you, Casey, the time frame, or have Jade text you. But we'll see you soon. Casey, thanks so much. So, um, and Tony, are you there, Tony? So you could wave at everybody, Tony. And you know what? If he there he is. Okay, so Tony is our meditation mindset guy, and look at him. He's out in nature. Like how perfect is that?
I'm meditating already. I'm sorry.
Already meditating. So he's
I
already
am.
getting he's there. He's already getting he's gonna help us really get into the mood. So this is perfect. So we'll see you in a little bit also. So you two just go ahead, feel free. Won't be back for another probably about 30 minutes or so. And then, I'll have Jade message both of you when to come back on. Uh-oh, so we lost Michelle. Let me put her back on stage. Um, Actually, sorry guys, just a little bit of technical difficulties here, and we will. Yep, there we go. So we're back on. I'll put us on full screen. So I can tell you, for me, Michelle, what I started to notice with mom was that she just started like forgetting things like her keys, and she started struggling with counting. She couldn't count as well. She couldn't count her money, and she started getting lost. And so
Yeah.
those things I started to notice. What would you say it was for you?
Definitely the forgetfulness. And then, Nana was a sharp dresser. She was very coordinated with her colors, and her colors were bland. It was usually black and white, no color. So I did notice that as well. And definitely the forgetfulness was really a trigger for me. When you called me and I flew up to New York to see her, she was forgetting to eat. She was very thin and peaked. So yeah, those things I really noticed very quickly.
I would tend to agree with you. I started noticing that, and just so that everyone understands, I'm the baby, the youngest, and Michelle's the oldest in the next line. So we're literally 5 years apart. So a lot of people, they're like, "That's your niece." I said, "Yep, that's my niece. This is my older sister's daughter." So yes, my older sister Charlene. Hey sis, I know you're gonna be watching this.
Yeah, hey, how are you, Deborah?
Good, good. So as everybody knows, this is a whole family affair right here. We wanted to do this and be very transparent about what our journey was like, and also, um, I could tell you, even for me, like how scary it was, initially, because mom just always seemed like she was fearless. So it was just, it wasn't even just that. She was our matriarch. She was the person we went to for advice. She was also the person that everybody could talk to. I mean, so you got to think about her being not just a cool mom, but also a cool grandmom, a cool great grandmom. She could literally talk to all the generations in our family. Would you agree?
I
Yes.
totally agree. And then also, she never met a stranger. Um, she
Right.
she loved everyone, and everyone loved her. If she see a little child in the street, she'll get in her, go into her pocket and give them $1 or a quarter or whatever she had, whatever change she had. She was a hugger. I miss her hugs. She hugged everyone she greeted. She was just a wonderful, wonderful human being all around. And when I noticed her, you know, coming back or not doing those things, it certainly alarmed me. And, I knew something was wrong from the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was it was painful. It was hard. I mean, I think initially we started grieving her. I know I did. I started to grieve the person that she was because our
Right.
relationship changed and I became, her caregiver. This is the person I
Yeah.
would go to for advice.
Hmm.
And now, I couldn't do that anymore. I missed and a lot of you when you have a loved one and a strong mom or a strong dad and this was your go-to person, right? This was your go-to person, and now you can't go to them anymore. Understand that is something that you're going to have to grieve. It's going to hurt. It's going to be one of those situations where it's like you're going to hurt not being able to. Now, this person's still here physically. They have not passed away, but the relationship is now different.
Yes.
And it's hard. It's hard. It's painful. I think we all, as a family, grieve that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So
And when you called me, Deborah, 7 years ago, with your diagnosis with breast cancer, and your first thought was Nana. We called her Nana. Um, what's going to happen to Nana? And I said, Deborah, send her here. And you said, well, Michelle, you're working, and my cousin had moved in, and my son was there. I said, we'll make it work. We will make it work. I said, that's Nana. And let me tell you, that was the best experience I had, taking care of my grandmother for those 8 months. Um, I noticed the decline really fast. She didn't remember my name. She knew I was someone in the family. Sometime I was mom, sometime I was Deborah, sometime I was her sister, and that was okay. You know, we played a lot of games. I had pictures. We would look at old pictures. She was a dancer. We would Friday nights we would dance, and she looked forward to those things. She was losing her memory, and one day she was sitting at the kitchen table eating breakfast, and she said, something is wrong with me. Something is wrong. And I said, and she cried, and I said, Nana, you're fine. And she says, okay. So you can't, you got to listen. You got to love on them. You got to, um, do those memory games with them. I would have her help me with my shopping list. Nana, what do you think we need? Go in the refrigerator. What do you think we need? I don't know. I said, well, we don't have any milk. You think we should get some milk? Oh, yeah. So she will put that on the list. She took a lot of medication. Her thing was counting her pills. She sometimes had to count them 2 or 3 times, but that was our little game at that point. Washing her hair and bathing her. She did those things for me, so it was my pleasure to do that for her. And also, the best thing we call Nana Nana, and my granddaughter, I call her Nana, which is spelled Nana. and my granddaughter was about 6 or 7, and when she would come over, she would help me with her. So it was so cute to see my grandmother and have my granddaughter. So it was a pleasure. Embrace it wherever they are. Just love on them,
Yeah.
and let them know they are loved.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a grieving moment too,
Yeah.
because I was like, wow, she doesn't remember me, but she knew I was someone in the family, so that was
Right.
good enough.
And that was good
So,
enough. That was good enough.
yeah,
And I think our family did a good job when she was in Georgia. She was surrounded by family and friends. And honestly, in New York, she was surrounded by family and friends. And that was really special. She lived in the same building for over 30 years. So the
yeah,
neighbors were really more like family. And they
yeah.
looked out for mom. I'm telling you, there was some sleepless nights for me because I'm in New Jersey. She's in the Bronx in New York. And, it's just you wake up in the middle of the night, thinking that is something going to happen to her. But the neighbors were amazing.
And they
So
told us too, Deborah, when they noticed little things
they
about
did,
Nana. They
yes.
they saw that as well. Yeah,
They actually,
that
to
was
be
good.
thankful, for Tracy and Debbie and Shirley, all the neighbors that lived in the building. I got 3 calls, and each of them called me separately and said, "Tootie, something's wrong. Something's wrong." They saw it first because they saw her every day or every other day, and we didn't see it immediately. But not everybody has that, so that was really a gift and a blessing for us to have it. And I'm always going to be thankful for mom's neighbors, all of her close friends that she knew, for her church, because they were also in the community. She was really embraced by the community, really because of the type of person that she was. And that was very special as well, that other people looked out for her. I remember spending the day, and some of you might want to consider doing this with your loved one. I have some other friends who are kind of going through this journey right now with some of their loved ones. So I'm gonna pull this on the stage. I'd like to bring this up because this is mom and her personality. She was a happy person. She knew no strangers. She was always cracking jokes, dancing. I mean, she made the world her stage. That's who she was, and she loved people. And so she was a happy person. That's one of the reasons that as we grieve her, we you get to a point in your grief where you kind of turn that corner. Like after over 4 years, I kind of turned the corner to be able to smile about different things that she did. Not the first couple of years, but really, and I still have my moments. But what I would recommend for anybody who has loved ones that are declining, go ahead, spend some time with them, spend the day with them. If you could go visit them, I don't know what part of the country you happen to be in, but go visit them, go spend some time with them, and kind of hang out with them in their natural habitat so that you can see. So what I did was I spent a couple of days over with mom in the Bronx in her apartment, and with her regular routine, paying her rent. I wanted to see how was she counting her money. She couldn't count her money anymore. She couldn't navigate that. The rental office was right across the street. I'm telling you, the lady that worked in the office loved mom so much. She said, "I will come over here and collect the rent. She doesn't even have to come, or she doesn't have to do that." Now, some of you may be paying rent uh, electronically. You got to think about, mom was 88 when she passed away. She was old school. She go around the corner and get her little money orders. She go literally walk over to the bank and physically get these things. And I navigated with that, kind of hung back a little bit. No one cheated her. No one. Oh my God! I went with her to the supermarket. She was having trouble counting her money and everything. The cashier said, "Sweetheart, this is how much it is." She did not cheat her because she was beloved in the neighborhood. And everybody respected that. And I'll never forget that. I know that everybody doesn't have that, but we had it, and I'm thankful for it. But the advice that I'd like to give you is, just kind of hang out with your loved one for a little bit and kind of see how they navigate. See if you can bring the community in if you have that. Whether it's, best friends, friends in the neighborhood, church. See if you can kind of let them know a little bit about what's going on to see if you could get them some support. Senior centers are also amazing. With some of the senior centers, sometimes they'll come and pick up the loved one. And didn't we have a wonderful caregiver for Nana? So we just lost Michelle for a minute. So I'll share this story. We had I think her name is Emmy Imyats. Oops, somebody commented. Okay. All right. So thank you for dropping the link, Jade. I see the link. There's Michelle. She's back.
I want to add something, Deborah.
Yeah,
it's very important when you are a caregiver that you take care of yourself as well.
yes.
I had, my brother here, my mother, my aunt, my cousins. And when I needed not a break, but I needed some time, health care for myself, we would take turns every couple of weeks taking care of her over the weekend. So that really helped out. So that's important too. You gotta take care of yourself too when you're caring for, someone with Alzheimer's. I just wanted to add that.
Sorry about that. I think that's so true. So true. And I think that my test during this going through that season with mom was to learn more about self-care. So here I am diagnosed with breast cancer. I didn't even think about myself. I was more concerned about mom. And I remember I told my husband, Rick, and I said, well, who's going to take care of mom? He said, well, we're going to have to get help from mom. And he said, I'm going to become your caregiver. And we're going to have to get her some help because you're going to have to go through treatment and everything else. And I still remember visiting Georgia. Mom was there for 2 weeks. And this is always such a funny story. So I remember visiting with mom, with Michelle. And I just said, you know what? Mom wants to come home. And you were like, are you? So I said, mom wants to go home. And here I had already lost my hair. I was bald at that point. I was wearing wigs. And I was like, but mom really wants to go home. So just even for myself, I was like, she wants to come home. So I didn't even look at the fact that she wasn't making the best decisions anymore. So now we had to make decisions for her. But my emotional connection to her was like, whatever she wants, I want to give it to her. And that's how I felt. I did not even think about myself. And Michelle was like, Nana will be fine. She was like, Nana will be fine. What are you talking about, girl? You're muted, hon. Yeah, you're muted. I don't know how.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said, Deborah, she won't forget tomorrow. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. I was just like, oh no, she wants to come home. She said, I don't want to stay here. I want to go home. And I was like, okay. I was like, and then here I am with my little scarf on my head. And I'm like, Nana wants to come home. I think I'm going to fly her back with me. And you looked at me like I was nuts. Like, so how are you going to get treatment and do all this stuff for yourself if you're taking care of Nana? She said she will be fine. And that's one funny story. The other funny story that I feel that we have is, and Charlene has gone through this too with mom and our other sister, our other nieces and nephews. There she is. That's my sister, Charlene. And so she went with this. Remember, we couldn't always get mom to take her medicine, right? So here's the thing, everyone. When you are trying to get a loved one, maybe they're elderly mom or dad, and they won't take their medication, it is okay if they miss it a day or two, because it's still in their system. You know what I mean? And I remember talking to her doctor about this. He said, look, she's going to have her good days and her bad days. If she misses a day, it's going to be okay because she was just resistant. I don't want to take it. So, mom, you have to take your medication. I don't want to take my medication. And I still remember Michelle, I'd ask them, do you want to eat? And so Michelle, her granddaughter, would be able to get her to eat. I said, I just asked her to eat. And you said to me, stop giving her a choice. You said, tell her it's time to eat. And I've been the very cool aunt for a long time, to 3 generations, but I've never been a mom. And so I'm always that aunt that wants to be cool with my nieces and nephews, and I will ask them stuff. Sometimes I'll tell them, especially the younger ones. But with mom, I didn't have that kind of mindset. I was just like, do you want to eat? Michelle would just be like, why are you asking her? Just tell her it's time to eat. You remember that?
I do. And I did that with her medication too. I didn't give her a choice. I just said, come on, Nana, it's time to take your pills. And I said, you want to count them? And she said, sure. She'll count them a couple of times and then she'll take them. But yeah, there was no choice. I made sure she ate 3 meals a day and had 2 snacks. I just said, come on, Nana. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't ask, you just let them know, the next steps.
Yeah. That was a lesson that I had to learn too. So just remember, with your loved ones, sometimes you can't give them choices. I do need to share with you also about that self-care. The self-care is so important. And I can tell you that, Deborah, pre-cancer, during cancer, and post-cancer are 3 different Deborahs. So now I definitely have learned to say no to certain things, certain situations, certain people. Protect your peace all the time. Protect your peace. My wellness, exercise is numero uno. So I have a whole regimen that I follow, and everything else comes after that. So that means that if I want to take a Zumba class, if I have to do my meditation, my spin class, my yoga class, I have a whole regimen of exercise that I navigate at least a good 5 days out of the week. It has to come first. It's hard for a lot of you to do that. It's hard for a lot of you to say no. It's okay if you have to say no to people and situations, because now you're learning what you can say yes to. Okay, you're saying yes to yourself. That was one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn. It is a muscle for us, especially women, to take care of ourselves first. And we get guilted all the time by our parents, siblings, friends, children, grandchildren. Mima, I want to go here. Pop, I want to go here. But you don't feel good. You cannot continue to not take care of yourself and take care of someone else before yourself. 33% of all caregivers die before the person that they're caregiving. So I need you to get that number in your head. That's a third. That's a third. And it's not always based on age. A lot of people think that, well, maybe they were older also. It's not necessarily true. A lot of that is because caregivers have the tendency to neglect themselves. They stop going to the doctor. The other person's doctor's visits becomes paramount. I had to learn that lesson, that if I don't get this treatment, I may die. And I didn't want to die. So I had to learn the hardest thing ever. And that was to say no to my mother. That was probably the hardest thing I had to learn how to do, but I had to do it. So everyone, this is definitely a fundraiser. And so we want to make sure that you donate. Please donate. Whatever you can donate to Go Wellness Circle. We provide a lot of this programming without a budget, without any funding. So we want to continue doing this work. So we need your help. So Dawn Johnson, thank you, Dawn, for making your donation. We appreciate you for that. please go ahead and scan to donate. Jade, if you could drop in the comments the link for our PayPal. No amount is too small, so please give. That's very, very, we need your support so that we can continue the work that we're doing. We feel like this is very important work, to let you know from a real, true perspective what it's like to be a breast cancer survivor, to take care of a loved one going through dementia, a loved one who's just getting older and who's going through some changes. So it's just so important. Sweet Tea, good morning. Great conversation. Thank you so much, darling. Caregivers, we need a support system. Oh my God, you have just said something that is so important. We all need a support system. It's critical. So it looks like Michelle may be running into a bad connection. I was glad to have her up to share from her perspective. If she could join us back, fine. If not, hopefully she was able to share some really good stuff in a true place. But yes, please find a support system. I have 2 people as guests who are part of my FIT family, part of my Feisty family. I have so many wellness communities that surrounds me all the time. That is how I keep going. And finding like-minded people, chosen family, is so important. Sometimes you may not be always aligned with family members. We all have different interests. It's not that we don't love each other, but maybe we have different interests and we have different hobbies. Find a community of people and stay connected with them. So thank you, Sweet Tea, for sharing that. You know, support systems are critical. I also want to state too, for if you have a loved one who's going through Alzheimer's or dementia, they're on Medicaid or Medicare, you can also get respite. I believe it's for Medicare. And I'm happy to share that information with you, but it's also Googleable. And so let me tell you about it. Respite is when your loved one can be admitted to a facility where they're cared for I think up to 7 days, sometimes 14 days. What does that mean? That means that for you as a caregiver, you can take a break. Okay, you need to take a break. Now, I've talked to some people that are going through this journey. I'm not. I love you, Roger. I'm gonna throw you under the bus. Roger's part of our Juneteenth family, and he's taking care of his mom, and he's fabulous. He's doing a wonderful job. But even for our men who are loving, my cousin Carl, fantastic, taking care of my Aunt Irene. Men need a break too. Okay, so don't act like you trying to man up and everything and, oh, I don't need no break. Yeah, you need a break just like everybody else. And so remember, there are these services that are available for respite. So respite means your loved one can be admitted into a facility for a short period of time while you take a week or take 2 weeks and you go and you either go away for a little while, or it could be for a little short weekend stay someplace, a little trip, or you just need to take care of some things, right? And you go away for that. Some things that Michelle and I didn't get a chance to talk about, so I'm just going to talk about some of these things for the next 9 minutes, and I'm going to turn it back. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to bring on some new guests so that they could share as well. Casey and Tony are waiting in the wings for us, so they'll be on next. But I did want to share a couple of things that you really do need to get into place. You need to have a healthcare proxy for your loved one. And you need to get it for them before they start to decline. For me, and I'll just be very transparent with you, for me and my husband, Rick, we've had to do a lot of this paperwork because we're both cancer survivors. And so we have navigated filling out a lot of paperwork and hey, you might have said you did this before, and a lot of this stuff has to be renewed. Rachel, Kaylee, we did a wonderful segment on Go Wellness Circle on Wellness Wednesday about Healthcare proxy and power of attorney. You can find that on Go Wellness Circle, Go to Wellness Wednesday. Look for that segment because she goes into depth talking about healthcare proxies and power of attorney. You need to have that in place as your loved one declines. You got to have it. And so I'm just going to encourage you, if you are overwhelmed by all of this, start putting things into a calendar. I put reminders on my phone, pop-up reminders, call this, work on this. Michelle and I actually ended up having a Google Doc and a Google Drive specifically for mom's care. And we would put our documents into that Google Drive. Anything that we needed, we could connect to it on our phone, or we could log into it and we could pull whatever forms. We had a schedule of doctor appointments that we navigated on Google Calendar. I'm a big believer in putting things on a calendar because if it's not on a calendar, it doesn't exist, right? That's not just for business. It's also for health related stuff. So get in the habit of helping yourself by putting things, getting organized. Trust me when I tell you, I can't even tell you how many times being able to put my hands on certain documents, files, calendar links, all of that, have a doc with all the doctors in it. I can't even tell you how many times that saved me and us, me and Michelle, as mom's caregivers. So I highly recommend getting organized. If you want some of these, like a tip sheet, go ahead and message me and I'm happy to send you a free tip sheet on getting organized to take care of your loved one going through Alzheimer's or dementia. We have a bunch of tips we're going to be putting into a small ebook. We want to share. We want you guys to get organized, and we want you to take care of yourselves first, not last. First, just like being on the plane, put the mask on yourself first before you can put it on your baby. Because, hey, if you pass out or if something happens, who's going to take care of your baby? Well, it's the same thing with this. Take care of you first, and then that way you can more effectively take care of other people. And even with that, just be careful about balancing all of this, because sometimes there are people who can help who prefer to just kind of delegate stuff to you. I've gone through that. It's like, thank you, but I have enough to do. But if you really want to help me, why don't you make that call and let me know how it goes? So rather than catching it all, bounce it back over to them, because as a caregiver, you have enough to take care of and to worry about. So just make sure you're learning how to say no in a way that makes sense. And so one of the things that Casey is going to share with us is also about, balance. How do we stay balanced, with all of this? This is not an easy journey. And guess what? You still have jobs, businesses, or careers. You still have all of this other stuff going on. And meanwhile, you're also a caregiver. So it's a lot. It's a lot to navigate. So if you look, you can see, look in the comments, you can see that on PayPal, we have a link. You can also go to Go Wellness Circle, go to our donate button, and you could donate at gowellnesscircle.com. If you don't see our links, this QR code here, we're always, needing support. If you want to volunteer, feel free to reach out to us at Go Wellness Circle. We really can, we appreciate any kind of support or help that we can get from you. And we thank you for that in advance. So without further ado, what I am going to do is I am going to, it's about 11:47 now. I'm probably going to bring up, let's see, who wants to go next? Who wants to go next? I'm trying to see, am I going to bring up Tony? Tony, are you still outside, or should I bring up Casey? I want to see, who should I bring up next? So, yeah, oh, Casey's already waving her hand. Okay, sorry, Tony, you didn't say anything. So Casey's going to go up next. So before I bring Casey up, let me bring up her This is striking authentic balance while caregiving a loved one. So this is going to be Casey's topic. I'm going to turn it over. Casey is my feisty sister. Love Casey, and she has spoken on Marketing Monday and Wellness Wednesday before. She's definitely a fan favorite. So I'm going to bring her up on the stage with me. Hey, feisty Casey.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's really good to be here and to talk about this very essential topic. And indeed, I'm talking about authentic balance. And I suspect you invited me here because I had a big role in caregiving.
Yes.
And caregiving affects all of us. So I remember when I was working in corporate America, and we had a wonderful department headed up by a gentleman. He called the program Care for the Caregiver. And I would just say, oh, this is nice, but it doesn't really have anything to do with me. Well, here is something that Rosalind Carter said. And Rosalind Carter, for those of you who may not know, was the wife of Jimmy Carter, one of our beloved presidents. And what she said is that there are only 4 kinds of people in the world. 4. Those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need a caregiver. So I was blissfully listening to these messages while I was working in corporate America. And what ended up happening was I became someone who was a current caregiver with my mom. So this must be the day that we're going to talk about and celebrate our moms. And I will also say to you, if you have not been impacted yet, oh, it's coming. Trust me. So AARP does a lot of surveys and studies, and they said that the total number of American caregivers is 53 million people. That is crazy. This number, I know, this number has grown by 20% over the last 5 years. Now, in the next 25 years, the over 80 population, so people who are over 80 in age, I'm going to be in that group in the next 25 years. That number is going to triple. So, as I mentioned, I
God. I didn't know those statistics myself.
Yes, ma'am. Jaw dropping. So we're not going to get out of life without being impacted by caregiving at some point. And as I said, I cared for my mom, and the better care that I took of myself, the better I could show up for her. Now, I know that some of what I'm saying to you is obvious, right? I'm going to be a little bit of Captain Obvious this morning with you because you can't say it enough. Self-care is often overlooked because we run ourselves ragged to fit it all in. We think we've got to do it all. We got to. And it's more of a balance, and it's also more of giving yourself grace to let some things go. So I want to show you a really cute picture of my mom, my aunt, and me. Can y'all see that? I know there's glare. My mother's the one in the middle.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, I know. Isn't this cute? You know, obviously I'm the one on your, I guess your left. And with the short, I had short hair then. And my auntie is the one on the other side with the my mom and my aunt both have glasses. So that was taken of us in the 90s. We were at a Patti LaBelle concert. So that gives you some idea of our relationship. Mom and I were really like sisters. And so when she started to decline, my mom did not have Alzheimer's. She had another disease that starts kind of with that AL. She had ALS, which in her case, which made it so painful, her mind was intact. It was her body that declined. And week after week, you could see the changes happening. You lose your muscle tone. You eventually lose the ability to use your muscle. You can't stand, you can't walk, you can't swallow. And eventually you pass away because your body essentially will shut down. So the most challenging part of that caregiving journey for me, you can imagine, it was the emotional weight. And Deb, you alluded to this, and I'm going to name it. There's a role shift that takes place. I'm an only child. So what ended up happening was I became the parent. And you mentioned this. Yeah, and actually your niece mentioned, Michelle said, you have to be the person that directs the person you're giving care to. You sometimes can't give them a choice. You have to tell them what is happening. As an only child, it was so hard for me to say, no, mom, we're not going to do this, or mom, we're going to do it this way. I know that this is not what you want. It is for your best interest. And what was interesting was, after a while, I became the main person she would listen to. Other, doctors or whatever would make a recommendation and she wouldn't want to do it. And I would tell her, okay, this is why I'm recommending that we do this. Oh boy, was that hard. That was so difficult. So Deb, you said your mom was the matriarch, so was mine.
Mhm.
And at age 40, she went back to school to become a chiropractor. She had been an English teacher, fantastic English teacher. And we were both at university at the same time. We graduated 1 year apart. I know, it was really
That's
adorable.
adorable. I
It
love
was
that.
adorable. It was really, so you can get an idea by me sharing that, how close we were. We were really, and as you can see, even in that picture, we look more like sisters than
Yeah.
mother and daughter. I will say, because again, I'm an only child, this had such an emotional impact on me. I had absolutely no idea. What I learned, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You ain't got it. It's not there. I'm making an analogy. I don't have children either. You mentioned that too, Deb. When a woman is carrying a baby, the baby will take all of its nutrients that it needs. And if you're carrying a child, if you're not you taking the prenatal vitamins or whatever it is you need to do to nourish yourself, that child is going to take it from you. And it can be to your detriment. So you've got to fuel up. You got to take care of yourself. You got to, as I said, fill your cup. And so you've heard of financially when they tell you pay yourself first. You got to do that same thing when you are a caregiver. So, first thing I would say, recommend is make your self-care non-negotiable. What does non-negotiable mean? It means it's on your schedule. It means it does not come off. And obviously you know about that, Deb, because you do it and I was doing it this morning. I got that Zumba class in. I did leave and they were still dancing, but I did get it in. So let other people know so that you're not interrupted. This is important to me. I need 1 hour so that I can go whatever it is that you like to do, right? I would say build in little mini breaks also. You can make it small. Walk outside for 20 minutes. Take 5 minutes, open up your front door or sit on your front steps. Let the sun hit your face. Let the sun get on your body. Well, number one, that does help you produce vitamin D, but it also helps regulate your parasympathetic nervous system. It calms you down. Listen to the birds sing. Take some deep breaths. Now, Tony's the expert on breathing. I also have a hack that is not often talked about, where you inhale with 2 quick, short breaths and a longer exhale. So it's kind of like, why does this work? Think about when babies cry, they go, and they take that big gulp. They are automatically, instinctively knowing how to self-soothe. And we forget that as we get older. So I'm going to invite you all just to breathe in that way when you're in a situation and you just got to bring it down. You're going to get the call, mom fell again. And your body will go into fight or flight upon hearing that news. Or it may not even be someone telling you, as what would happen to me. It would be 2 a.m. My phone would ring and I'm like, oh Lord. My mom lived in Suffern before I moved her to Montclair, which meant that somebody had to get in a car, drive 45 minutes to Suffern in the middle of the night and try to get her off the floor. So I was lucky I had someone who could help when that call would come until I could get her in my home, someone who would help. So continue to take care of you. That means get your hair done, get your nails done, massages for guys, whatever it is. I have a male friend who loves pedicures. And actually, coincidentally, he's taking care of his 94-year-old mom. which is amazing. So whatever it is that you need to do. So number one, ask for help also. Actually, that's probably number two. Ask for help. Use I statements. What I need right now is. And Deborah, like you said, being really clear about that because sometimes people don't know and they'll delegate to you. No, this is not the time for you to be delegated to. This is where you need to stand your ground and ask for help. So, and make it specific. It could be, listen, I could really need some help on Thursday. Are you available at 2 p.m.? I need you to sit with mom for 1 hour while I ... right? So this also means that you need a support network. I had fantastic neighbors. One day, my neighbor across the street, I wonder if she even remembers this, Marjorie. She's a professor, and she said, well, Casey, I'm not working on X day and X day. Would be very happy to come and sit with your mom while you do what you need to do. That speaks to that respite care that Deborah was talking about. You need a break. I would also say connect with other caregivers because they're going to get it. They understand the emotional load that you are carrying because all of a sudden, as I said, roles flip. You're no longer the child. You are now the parent. And sometimes that realization hits you hard. So this is when, again, you have to get really good at delegating, and you'd be surprised at what other people volunteer to do. I have a good friend. This is the same friend who would help get mom off the floor at 2 a.m, but she would just take the car and go to Suffern and pick her up. I think this whole friendship that I didn't even know about. She said, oh yeah, I picked up your mother and she wanted a hamburger, and God love her. This friend of mine, she said, we went and got hamburgers and fries. And I was like, oh, thank you. That's amazing. They would, go around the Hudson Valley where my mom had her chiropractic office, and it was beautiful. So that's one way to take care of yourself. I would also say get some professional help if you need to. I had a therapist because I needed some way to just unburden myself and have someone professional listen to me, because not everybody's going to get it. I had a work colleague who was going through this at the same time, which was amazing. And we would come in and talk about what was happening with our mothers. Believe it or not, work became a respite for me because I liked what I did. I loved my colleagues, and I would be able to come in and for those 8 hours, just set it all aside. So one of the last thoughts I'll leave you with is to stay as organized as you possibly can, because the last thing you can afford when you're caregiving and responsible for another person is to be scattered and all over the place. Calendaring is really good. It's really important. I had a set time for when I would do meal prep for mom. So guess what? Meal prep for me too. So when I had people coming into my house to take care of her, we had 24-hour care at one point. All they had to do was take a Tupperware out of the refrigerator and heat it up. And I knew it was something my mother could eat because like mother, like daughter, food sensitivities. And if I would leave the food cooking to someone else, they might give her something that would have an adverse reaction. And I could not afford that. So I knew how to make food that she could have and that I could also have. I will also say control what you can control. I mean, come on. That's good advice, whether you are caregiving or not yet. But you got to let it go. Let it go.
Yes.
Keep your expectations realistic. And it's like delegating, like learning to be an effective manager on the job. It's almost a similar skill set that you're accessing when you're caregiving. Don't micromanage. The way somebody does it is good enough. Let it go. And I want to end my remarks by saying self-care is not selfish, because one of the key words in your title, Deb, was authentic. When you're taking care of yourself, you're allowing yourself to show up with the best authenticity that you could. I know one thing for me right now, when I'm tired and I've done too much and I'm cranky, you can see that. And I don't want to be bringing that to people. So remember that all. Self-care is not selfish.
It's not. It's
Nope.
not. Well, that's amazing, Casey, because that's a gem you just dropped right there, because it's not selfish. But you know what? people will try to convince you that it's selfish. Do not believe them. Because they're being selfish because they want you to do something for them sometimes. So you have to kind of really be careful about what you hear. I remember going on a trip last year, and it was a trip to Jamaica that Serena, one of my event partners, she's helping me plan the DR trip, and I met a lady whose mom was dying. She was declining. I ended up comforting her. And she said something that was pretty amazing to me. She was a mom herself. So many of her friends did not understand. They were moms too, why she needed a vacation.
Oh,
And here's, don't forget the guilt and the shame. I don't need a vacation from my kids.
oh boy.
I don't need a vacation from my husband. Why do you need a vacation? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Of course you need a vacation. I mean, and so the guilt and the shame. And here's the thing, her mom encouraged her to go. And
Yes.
she was the one that was dying. She encouraged her to go. She said, go have fun, enjoy yourself. You need to go on this vacation. But I get very disappointed when I hear about other women who are like, you know what? You don't, how is it that you need a vacation from your kids? Of course you need a vacation from your kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't let anybody make you feel guilty about it. We all need breaks, and there's nothing wrong with that. Self-care is not selfish.
In fact, I'm going to add to that because it just pinged into my brain.
Yes.
Self-care is not selfish, it's selfless.
Yes.
Because
I love that.
give and give and give.
Yes.
And we feel whole, rested, and we feel good about ourselves. We're doing the best job that we can. And I can say that I feel that my mom left this planet, this plane. She's on another plane right now, probably listening to me.
Yeah.
My daughter did the best that she could.
Yep. Absolutely. I feel the same way. I know I can sleep at night. I have no guilt.
Mm-hmm.
I know I did everything that I could possibly do for my mother. And so I am at incredible peace, for that. I would also recommend, because Casey, you mentioned the therapy or seeing a therapist. I would also recommend, maybe there are some really great groups that are available, whether it's a meetup, a Facebook group that also meets in person, where maybe there's a therapist that's also a member. There are other groups and communities of people. I joined some Alzheimer's groups when I was taking care of mom, and it was amazing the amount of support and understanding that was there, because everybody else was navigating the same thing. And then they were sharing tips about what worked for them, what didn't work for them. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And so I did want to quickly just mention, a little bit about Casey's background, because she's fierce, y'all. I only have fierce friends. She's fierce and she's the feisty. So we got the F alliteration going on. But she's also a coach. She coaches professional women on how to amplify their voice and elevate their leadership so that they can feel confident on their career journey. SpeakAndOwnIt.com, Speak and Own It Communications. And she's all about harnessing the power within. So I wanted to make sure that I said that, because you do so many amazing things.
Thank you.
So many amazing things. And I'm so glad to call you my friend, because I have so many friends who I'm truly sister friends with, who are also amazing coaches, speakers, amazing in their own right. And I never lack for speakers or to participate in events, and I'm grateful for that. I did want to just go to the comments, because sweet tea girl, you running the comments here, so thank you for that. So I'm just going to mention what Sweet Tea said. is sadly, we will encounter people like that. Self-care allows us to seek balance and get back to baseline in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's really a very profound comment, because I think that when we're caregiving, we also have to filter who is supporting you and things like
Yes.
that. If
Yes.
people are saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be leaving your mother at a time like this," let that go. It's not
That part.
constructive. It's not
That part.
helpful. Let it go.
Yeah. Let it
Maybe
go.
they mean
Yes.
well, but they just don't really know.
Right. And you know what? This can be hard for you and emotional for you when you see your loved one decline like this. So listen, it doesn't help when they say these things, right? And I get that. I've
Yep.
heard all of it myself.
Yeah.
However, I think that we need to learn how to filter with certain people who do not support us. All they need is one or two times to say that to me. And trust me, I'm not going to keep. Sometimes you can't help it. You can't keep
Right.
everything from certain people depending
Yeah.
on the relationship, but there are some that you could stop like mentioning certain things to them,
Mhm.
you know.
Agree.
Yeah, and you might have a small amount of supporters who will help with mom or dad or brother or sister. They'll be, your best person for going to pick up mom in the middle of the night. I mean, and
Oh
take her
my
to
goodness.
get a hamburger. That woman is a saint.
Incredible.
That's incredible. There
Mhm.
will be a few people like that. However, think
Mhm.
about this. All you need is just a few because they will feed you and give you life. You don't need a whole crowd. A lot of us start feeling like I really don't have only one person or two people. It's
Mhm.
nothing
Yep.
because some of us, sometimes you have a whole bunch of people
Yeah.
and half of them are like driving you crazy.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
drive you crazy.
I know you're going to bring him on soon, and my mom Anthony and I were very close at that time, and what
Mhm.
was really sweet was my mom and Anthony had a really nice little friendship,
Oh,
and
that's
he
great.
would pray like with her, like, touch her and pray, and my mom
Mhm.
was very spiritual, very,
Mhm.
and I know she loved those moments.
Yeah, that's
And yes,
wonderful.
and here's another interesting point. As we all know, we all have male and female energies.
Yes.
And yes, my friend, who would the woman who would go and take mom out, amazing. Sometimes there's that love that a guy can give, like when a guy gives you a hug, there is nothing like that. It is irreplaceable. So, I know that they also had some very special moments too. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
after a while, my mom became nonverbal, and boy, oh boy,
Mhm.
gymnastics we had to do to
Yeah.
what she was
Wow.
to say. But when I know
Wow.
that occasionally I would say something, Anthony, and she would just smile. She would light up because that again, we need that male female
Yeah.
energy. We
Yeah.
really
Yeah, we do. We do. We do. My grandmother, my mom's mom, was notorious for preferring male energy to be. I mean, she made it like blatantly obvious. If a man came along, she could be bent over in her 80s and where she's got both her daughters flanking her to help her. But if
yeah.
a man came along that can help her walk, she would
Oh,
be like, and she was strong. She was like, excuse me. And she grabbed his arm and was like,
yeah.
we get your point.
Yeah. So fun.
But we need male energy and female
We
energy. So
do.
that's very, very true.
We
So that's a
do.
good point.
Yeah,
And
think about that
yeah,
when you're putting together your team of supporters who will support you. Just think about balancing that a little bit.
right. And thank you for sharing that as a team
Mhm.
because that's what I started to call us was mom's care team because what we truly were her care team.
Mhm.
And I just started thinking about who can help, who could support. I want to shout out Miss Lily, that was mom's best friend, who's in her early 90s now. and who has come to some of my events. And I'm always like frightened when she's traveling to me because I'm like, but she's strong. She's in the Zumba class. She's dancing and stuff. Has a lot of energy. And Jerry, who's like, aunt cousin to me, who has known mom since she was 12, 11 or 12, and adored my mother, would go over there, spend the night, be with her. So I want to shout out that these people who love mom as well, they became part of the care team. And their role might have been different. It could be, and it's not about big or small. It's just like this. I know Jerry can do this. I know Miss Lily can do this. And I just would make a list of different things. I knew I could ask Miss Lily to take mom to the doctor.
There you go.
And that's a blessing in and of itself. Build your care team. Yeah. So thank you for that, Casey, for saying it just like that. I want to share this one last thing before I let Casey go. This year, this is what Sweet Tea shared. This year, I did a healthcare proxy and working on POA, or power of attorney, with my loved one. Kudos to you, girl. That's wonderful. I know it's not always an easy conversation. Trust me, it's not to have, but it's a must. The same goes for getting a life insurance policy. Very true. We got to have those things in place. And it's always a little scary to me when you talk to people about these things and they just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to deal with it. And it's like, you really think you're going to live forever? You really think nothing can happen to you? So I don't need any of these things because I'm different than everybody else. Well, you do need these things.
You do.
Yeah, and it is a hard conversation. And I remember, and I've shared this on a previous live, when I got my mother to sign power of attorney and healthcare proxy, she was still forgetful, but still had some of the things in her memory. And my niece Nikki is an attorney, and she said, "Auntie, you know what? I talked to Nana. She said she ain't signing that." I said, "What?" Because she would just keep telling me, I'll get to it. And then finally, I had to take her to the hospital. And I finally told her, I said, "Mom, I'm not going to be able to talk to your doctor on your behalf anymore because I don't have a healthcare proxy. I don't have power of attorney. I don't have anything." And literally that day, I was able to get her in the ER, in the emergency room. I had to go around the corner to the nearest funeral home who notarized it. And I got it signed, and that was how I got the documents. Hopefully you don't have to go through anything quite that dramatic. I'm just sharing authentically and transparently what my journey was like. But you have to get those things in place because something awful can happen and you won't have that paperwork.
I do need to add something to this because something not so great did happen to me. And this is where sometimes you as the caregiver have to exert your influence. I asked mom if she wanted an elder care attorney. "No," she said. Well, guess what? Had we had an elder care attorney, they may have uncovered that the life insurance policy that she was leaving for me had lapsed.
Oh my gosh.
It lapsed. We didn't find out. Where I'm looking after she passed through papers, through this, that. There was no life insurance policy. So
that's that part.
Oh boy.
Thanks
so I will say, you might have to override their what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, maybe mistrust is the word, because she might have thought, this is just going to be money in it. But they would have said, let's make sure that we have everything in place. And maybe we could have reinstated the policy while she was still living.
Right.
So I don't want to see that happen to anybody else.
Yes, please. All your paperwork. You know what? If you have to put a reminder for yourself to check all your paperwork monthly or quarterly, please do that. I have to do that too. So I'm not giving you any advice that I wouldn't take myself. Exactly. Go ahead and make sure everything is in order. If there's anything that needs to be updated, I mean, I've heard some horror stories. I've heard second wives who was being faced with, their husband's funeral, and the whole policy was for the first wife, so they had no money.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard some stuff.
Yep. This happens all the time.
Happens all the time, every day, every day.
Yep.
So I need you guys to understand that this is really important. Insurance policies, I'm tired of seeing people, especially Black, and I'm just going to be honest, especially Black and brown folks. I love y'all. I'm a Black person myself, but too many of us are using GoFundMe as a life insurance policy. Okay, pay for the life insurance per month, get it in place, and then that way you have this. And it's amazing how little it costs, but you have this little chunk of money to take care of your loved one.
Absolutely.
But so many people don't invest in life insurance.
Wills, trust, estate, attorney. That's what you need. Wills, trust, and estate.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get Rachel back on with us, or maybe New York Life Insurance. We have some great partnerships with them. I met a couple of great people through Juneteenth. We're going to bring them on as guests so that we can have a deep dive conversation about that, because you need to have these things in place, because when you don't, and I see some friends going through horrible stuff that they never had it in place, or I was going to do it, but I didn't get around to it. And now something awful has happened. So please make sure you stay on top of all your paperwork. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Casey. You were fantastic. Anybody have any other questions for Casey before we roll off? Anybody else? Yeah, I think we talked about some good stuff that were in the comments. So thank you so much for chiming in. But Casey, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You were fantastic. You left some gems, some things for us to think about. We have some work to do as well.
Yes,
so
we do.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye. So let me take you off once. Give me 1 second. And I will take you off stage. Yep. All right, everybody. Hope you're enjoying this. Don't forget to, for Casey, remember her website is speakandownit.com. So you can connect to her there. She's amazing. She's on all social media as well. She's a great coach. So if you want to connect to her, you can go to those areas. So thanks so much, Casey. You were fabulous. So what I want to do is just encourage everybody to please donate. We do have also, you can go to our PayPal link. This helps us to do this kind of work. I mean, a lot of times I meet with people one-on-one to help them, whether it's for their Alzheimer's loved one, or whether they're trying to navigate resources for cancer or breast cancer. We are on the front lines of trying to support people who are taking care of others and taking care of themselves. And so we just need you to support us, to help us with our funding. And that's what we use it for. So our PayPal link is also on our GoWellnessCircle.com website, GoWellnessCircle.com. And if you go to our link, our donate button, you will see that you can also click our link to our PayPal. Okay, so that would be awesome if you could. Please, no donation is too small. So thank you so much in advance for supporting us. All right, so I'm gonna take that down. It's the Jade. Jade, do me a favor, check emails and check some other areas for us. And I will go ahead and bring Tony up. Feel free to drop anything that you can into the comments, okay? Drop it into the comments. If you have questions, if you have anything that you'd like to share, please drop that in the comments. And so, Tony, let me know whether you're ready or not. It looks like you are. So I'm going to bring you up on the stage with me. So thank you, Tony, for being patient. I think we're sharing some gems today that's going to help a lot of people. So thank you. Yes.
Good to see you, Deb, and hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can hear you just fine. So for everybody who doesn't know, Tony, I call him Tony. His name is Anthony Smith. And he always drops some gems about meditation and mindset. He's also a coach, a life coach. He's amazing. He's also part of my Fit family, just like Casey is, and have some others who are just part of my wellness family. And we keep each other accountable. When you say that, Tony, I feel like we're just like, it's almost like peer pressure. If I don't see you too long on a meditation call, it's like, okay, I'm slacking. I got to get back on there.
Well, Deborah, it's always an honor to be around you. You're a world-class business person and just big thinker, and to have someone part of your core team like that is just such an honor. So thank you very much for that.
Yes,
but as you said before, we
you.
keep each other accountable.
Yeah, I think that's so important. That's so important. And
yeah.
Tony, I would love for you to share. We could talk about some of the benefits of meditation, but we can also talk about, I think there's so many people who are caregivers that struggle with making a change to take care of themselves. The first thing that I hear is, I don't have time. I can't take time away from mom or dad. I'm working, I'm taking care of my kids. I want to share a real quick, very sad story. A friend of mine, when I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, a friend of mine from high school, her name is Jackie. We went to high school together, and she was trying to be as supportive to me as possible as I was navigating this new normal. And she said, Deb, I have another friend named Deb who you remind me so much of. And I said, really? Why? Why? She said her mother also dealing with Alzheimer's. She was also diagnosed with breast cancer. And she had a brother who also was in and out of nursing homes, who had all sorts of physical challenges and stuff. And she was a mom, a wife, a grandmother. She did not go for treatment except intermittently. She kept promising her doctor that I will go. I promise you, I will go. I'll never forget this story. This story changed the trajectory of how I dealt with my breast cancer. Deborah went intermittently to see her doctor, got treatment intermittently, but she started to feel some pain. She started things that she couldn't ignore anymore. She was literally pulled into 50 different directions, taking care of mom, taking care of brother, grandkids, and everything. And I'll never forget this when Jackie told me this. She told me that the doctor said, we've done everything that we could. I told you, you have to be consistent with your treatment, and you weren't. And you have a couple months. That's it. It was that when she shared that story with me, it was before I had my first chemo treatment. And I'm so grateful that she shared that story, because it was like someone picked up a bucket and threw ice water on me, because I could easily see myself doing what she did and taking care of my mother and running all over the place and everything. I'll get back there, get chemo for a minute. Okay, I need to see you next week. No, next week. No, week after. By the time it got worse, so guess what happened? She passed away. Guess who's still living? Mom and brother. Still alive. She's gone. So she's part of that 33% that I talked about, that of caregivers that die before the person that they're taking care of. This is a real statistic. And I realized early on, I didn't want to be part of that statistic. I did not. And so I had to do everything, including letting my wellness fit fam know that I was navigating cancer. So I didn't keep it secret. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do, but I did it. And what it did was it gave me additional care, and I wasn't looking for it, but that's what it did. And accountability for taking care of myself, because now other people knew my journey. And so I wanted to ask you, Tony, for people who are just like, I absolutely don't have time, can't do this. What would you tell them? How would you advise them to, get started?
It's a great question, Deborah. And in fact, I mean, number one, the program has been absolutely outstanding. All the information that you've given and your journey, you've been such an inspiration to me and to so many other people. And you bring up a good point as far as the aspect of self-care and caregivers taking care of themselves. But before I do that, one of the things that has been assisted in me is something called meditation. And what meditation, in essence, empowers you to. I'm going to be a little esoteric here. It widens the gap between stimulus and response. What that means is something happens. How do you respond to it? And so, before I answer that question, what I want you to do is take about 30 seconds, take a pause, take a deep breath in through your nose. Now hold it. Exhale. Hold it. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Hold it. One last time. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Hold it. On 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, that's meditation. That is something, in essence, that's changed my life. Now, the question that you asked me, Deborah, pertaining to, people not taking care of themselves. The title that you gave me was Self-Care, Mindfulness, and Meditation. Um, Great definitions. I look at it as self-care, as self-love. And that's a big thing. Just being able just to take care of yourself, knowing that by you making that change for yourself can affect other people around you. Gandhi, a leader from India during the 1940s, famous man, who in essence his nonviolent protests brought down the British rule, he uses a term that I use and I stick with all the time, which is be the change you want to see in the world. Again, be the change you want to see in the world. You have to be able to, or you deserve to take care of yourself first so you can be able to show up for other people. My great coaching program, Heroic, I'm a coach for Heroic. There were two things that were like pretty powerful for me that in essence I can bring to this conversation, which is I got so much information from them as far as personal development, but the two things that really stuck with me, which was powerful. Number one was the tribe. Having a supportive group who could be able to assist you through thick and thin, to encourage you, to help you, to be around people that were big thinkers who could be able just to hold you up when things were down. That was the first thing. But the second thing, which was everything for me, and I bring to what you said, is that the fundamentals. What are fundamentals? Well, if you could get an idea, it's considered a foundation. It is the thing that, in essence, that holds you steady, like a building. It holds you steady so you can be able to face the challenges of the world. What is considered a fundamental? Well, for me, for day to day, and before I even get into the fundamentals, let me tell you that I honor this time that you're honoring your mother, Tootie, and I think we have a kinship anyway pertaining to Fit Fam and a few other things. But I think what draws us a little closer is that your mom, Tootie, died a couple of days before my mom, Shirley. You see, guys, I'm the oldest of 11 children. And I also came from an environment. Again, my mom and dad, Shirley and Lewis, did a great job. But I came from an environment of hardcore domestic violence. You name it, it happened to us. And with that came a lot of emotional dysregulation, dysfunction, everything within our family. You name it, it happened. And then I had to be able to navigate that to assist me to get my bearings straight. And so, getting back to what you're saying pertaining to the self-care is that I found this thing called meditation. One of the many things. Sleeping was another, eating right was another, journaling was another. But meditation, which gave me the opportunity to sit still, to embrace the silence, so I can work on, number one, meeting the challenges that I've gone through, but also having emotional regulations for myself. So getting back to what you said pertaining to caregivers, what's important for you? Why don't you want to take care of yourself to take care of other people? I mean, is it important for you to take care of them? And if that is important, if it's an issue that, you have an issue of taking care of yourself, then it is something to definitely work on too. Because whether or not you believe it, you are the most important person. I had to embrace that to be able to make that change. It was a big change for me. So much so, guys, that I did so much work on myself. Meditation, yoga, CrossFit, fitness, journaling, and oh yeah, the most important thing, therapy. Yeah, therapy. Yeah, black man or men just in general, you hear that, men don't do therapy. It's a self-preservation thing that we don't want to look weak. But I attest to you that if I didn't do that, I would have died because I had some issues that I needed to address, which was self-love. I mean, seeing your mom getting beaten, seeing your dad, suffer from alcoholism, seeing your brothers and sisters, get beat incredibly was stuck in my head. And I was playing it out in different situations and relationships and all kinds of stuff. And so here's the thing I really want you to say, that therapy helped me illuminate some dark spots that I couldn't see for myself. So again, I ask you as a caregiver, you know that you're doing the right thing. But the question is, why aren't you taking care of you first? Self-care is self-love. And if there's issues in which, you don't see that, then there's something that we have to address. So, fundamentals, taking care of yourself. And again, top of my list definitely is meditation. And number two, your tribe. I mean, you guys have brought up some great stuff about groups and people that help you going out to, getting hamburgers and stuff like that. You need those people to assist you. You have to have a strategy to do that. But you have to believe in your mind that you deserve it. And once I got to that point where I felt that I deserve it, then things started to change. But it gets, it gets, wow, it gets really easier when you embrace that. The key thing is just embracing that. Here's the other thing I wanted to tell you real quick about with the meditation too, and the aspect of mindfulness. I love my culture. I love my black people. I'm black. I came from an environment. We have to we have to really pay attention to, our fitness and our self-care and our nutrition. Because here's the thing. This is a big calling right here. Alzheimer's and all these different diseases, ALS, and all these, Parkinson's disease are flared up by inflammation. What are the foods that you're eating? Are you eating bad foods that are disempowering to you? And so we have this, just everyone, I do it too. We have this thing where we have to be reactive rather than proactive. And yes, we're doing a fundraiser and we're doing all these things, but I want to be able to do something where we can be able to do meditations on a consistent basis, or fitness on a certain situation, or just being able just to take the ball by the hands, or just move forward and have a healthy mindset. That's a big thing there too. And the only way that you can do that is, number one, feeling that you deserve it. Self-care is self-love, knowing that you can do it. Give yourself compassion, saying that, okay, I don't know what to do. Where can I go? Look at Deborah. Deborah's has contributed, her life, and to be able just to honor her beautiful mother's memory, and to give you all these different resources. But it has to come from you, and you have to really want it. And for me, after seeing my mom go through what she's going through, and the issues that I had in my life, my back was against the wall that I needed to change. I deserved to change. And so what is important is, what do you deserve? Is that important to you? So Deborah, I don't know if you want to ask me questions on that. I want to go on and on and on, but I just want to tell you that I honor you so much. And, again, we've, well over 10 years, definitely, with the Fit Fam and stuff like that, and that when I started just to make some changes, with the meditation, I didn't think you were going to do it before because you were just so busy, but you have just been consistently, coming. We have a meditation group that we get together, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7:15 to 8 o'clock. We've been doing it since the pandemic, and it's like, in essence, meditation, just in general, what's some of the things that it does? It reduces stress, it improves focus, emotional regulations, anxiety, deepens compassion. I can go on and on. Improve sleep, blood pressure, pain management. You go on and on and on. But it's meditation, and a lot of these other fundamental stuff has virtually changed my life. Two things I'm most proud of. Number one, I'm a fitness geek and stuff like that, and I released from Fit Fam, and just from the voyage of weight, close to 85 pounds.
That's amazing.
Just having a healthy mindset. And I was able 7 years ago to do my first Spartan race. Spartan race is an obstacle course race where you run a few miles going up mountains, and then doing obstacles.
Yes.
2 weeks ago, I was on my 11th one. On the 11th one, I trained 25 people, 2 children, on my birthday, my 63rd birthday. I am in the best shape of my life because of, again, just having this lifestyle, and loving myself, and just wanting something better for myself. I can't even believe it. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing. The second thing was just like heartwarming, was that by me doing the work, the meditation, and all this other stuff, and being open, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I was picked as the first male of Sophia, an organization that in essence that assists domestic violence victims. I was the first male. And the reason why Cynthia picked me is she noticed that I was influencing a lot of people, that I had a lot of energy, and that I would be the type of person that can, inspire people. And you inspire people just in general by being who you are. You never have to tell people what to do. Just do you. And people want to come over to you and ask you what you're doing. And that had to be, I was so proud that it had a picture of my mom on there on one of the on the trees there, and they honored her, and they honored other victims and stuff like that. And this is what my mother would have wanted for myself. So,
Yes.
and again, but all goes back to what you said about caregiving.
Yes.
You need to be your best you to influence other people. But how bad do you want it?
Yeah. How
Go
bad
ahead,
do you
Deborah.
want it? And I agree with you, Tony. I think you do have to feel like you deserve it. There's so many people that feel, you think about self-talk.
Oh,
Think about how you would talk to someone else that
yes,
you love to support them, and you're encouraging and you're positive. You have to do that for yourself. If you're
yes,
not doing that for
yes,
yourself, your self-talk is not good. It's
yeah,
negative. I'm
yeah,
stupid, I'm dumb, I keep making
yes,
mistakes. And then somehow that seeps into our spirit, our self-conscious, and somehow we don't think that we deserve certain things. Okay.
yes,
We're human, we're going to make mistakes. You get back up and
yes,
you go ahead and you start something again. You pivot, you look at
yes,
something else that you could do.
yes,
It's okay to fail and to get back up on the horse.
yeah,
Here's the thing: you deserve to take care of yourself. You
absolutely.
deserve to put yourself first, because here's the thing: I think we have it wrong from a society standpoint.
Yeah,
When we are caregiving other people and taking care of other people, we put them first.
yes,
And we obliterate everything about our own selfhood. Okay,
yes,
everything.
yes,
Our own appointments, we drop everything, and
yes,
that is to our own detriment.
yes,
You have to know and feel that you deserve this and that you have to take care of yourself first. And
yeah,
so, as caregivers, I am going to give you some homework. So, the homework is going to be, even if you have to write it down, and Tony, you can help me with this too.
yes,
Even if you have
absolutely.
to write it down, why do you think you don't deserve this?
Ah,
And why should you do this for yourself? Because I'm telling you, if you live your life like this, you are just like really sabotaging your own life. You don't have to worry about anybody else doing it. You're doing it.
yeah,
You're doing it.
yeah,
So how do you get to stop? I know habits, right, Tony? Habits
yeah,
are
yeah,
hard to break.
yes,
New habits are hard to stop, but
right,
they can be started incrementally.
yes,
Sure, you're not going to be able to go from A all the way to Z
no,
overnight tomorrow. That's not even realistic.
no,
With the 85 pounds that Tony has lost, it started with 1 pound.
yes,
So start somewhere.
yeah,
If you want to start meditation, Tony told me this when I started. I still have not really got past 15 to 20 minutes, but I got
yeah,
to tell you, 15 to 20 minutes is really good for me. I
yeah,
haven't gotten to 45 minutes. I'm okay with that, because if I can only do it for 5 to 15 minutes, I feel so good. And the benefits I get from that is so powerful for me to just clear my mind until I get monkey brain. And Tony can explain what that is better than I can.
yeah,
But when
yeah,
I start getting monkey brain, which means that all the thoughts of the day starts to now crowd in. I
yeah,
can no longer clear out my brain. It usually happens after like 15 minutes. Everybody's going to be different. But
yeah,
guess what? I still meditated for 15 minutes. When I
Absolutely.
first started, I couldn't do that.
Absolutely.
So be okay with the fact that you're not going to be able to make these changes in your life overnight. You're not going to be able to do your own self-care overnight, but you can start somewhere. Whether it's self-care, whether it's taking 5 to 10 minutes to breathe deeply, whether it's to take a walk, whether it's to join a gym and start going to some Zumba classes or exercise or Pilates or whatever, or to join a group. Start somewhere and be okay with it not being perfect right away. You have started. Pat yourself on the back when after a week or two you've done meditation for 5 minutes, 3 or 4 times. That should be applauded. But when you keep beating yourself up over what you're not doing, you're immobilizing yourself. Would you agree with that, Tony?
You couldn't have said it any better, Deborah. Thank you very much. It's there's a term by a social scientist that said that we are Teflon to positivity and Velcro to negativity. Teflon to positivity. Think about what Teflon is, doesn't stick, and Velcro to negativity. That means you can get all this positivity in yourself and you won't think about it because that's the way that in essence we're wired that way. And Velcro, which is anything that goes near it sticks, that's negativity. Anything that's negative, it could be just not even negative, but you think it's negative, it will stick. That's the way that we're wired. We needed that wiring to protect us during prehistoric days in which we had to stay negative so we wouldn't get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger or the dinosaur. So, but it's we're still doing that. And what I'm saying to you is that being able to do the things in essence of reconditioning or changing the way that we do things, that is just humongous, absolutely humongous. And language is so important. We're constantly, like here's a prime example. Just growing up, my dad said a lot of, horrible things to us, which stuck in my head. This is, you can't do this. You're stupid. You're not calling my mistress. You're not doing this and that. And that played in my mind. And so what Deborah talked about, the aspect of self-talk, is that you have to constantly talk to yourself in a positive way. In the book, The Four Agreements, one of the principles is be impeccable with your speech. Speak only good things within your spirit, because there's so many other negative things that are telling you you can't do something or just being negative. Be impeccable with your words. So important. And with your habits, what Deborah said before, it's with me and with all the successes I've had in my life, they've been micro moves, whether it's releasing a pound or half a pound and just taking baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. And by doing the baby steps, you do something which is a part of a fundamental, which is record the baby step. Record the baby step. This is what I did. Record the baby step. And here's another fundamental, which is very important. Celebrate. Gratitude. Celebrate. Gratitude. Why would anyone give you a gift, give you a present, if you're not appreciating the gift that you already have? If that makes sense at all. Just being able just to take whatever you had, and it could be quote unquote empowering or disempowering, but it is a gift, whether it's something that you feel is empowering. If something that's disempowering, it's just say, how can this Misfortune strengthened me. Ask yourself the questions that how has something like this before has empowered me, and can I use this to empower me? So again, it is about your language. It's about feeding yourself constantly. There's a sage by the name of Krishnamurti said, "There's no level of health to be well adjusted in a profoundly sick society." There's no level of health to be well adjusted in a profoundly sick society. What does that mean? That means that we live in a sick society. We live in a society, in essence, that will tell you that you're not enough, to do the wrong things, to eat badly, to do all these things. We live in this sick society. You have to realize that and being proactive. One of the things that like made me smile is that recently in the news, you hear about these companies now, they're getting rid of their dyes in their foods and stuff like that. This is after 40, 50, 60 years of killing you. You know what I mean? But because people are just wanting to make that change, are not going to buy, now they're making the change. Think about if anybody's in, 70 or 80, remember the cigarette commercials. And I looked on YouTube and it was like so funny. And they had cigarette commercials with doctors. And they said 1 out of 4 doctors smoke Viceroys or smoke, whatever. So it's like being able to follow your truth, to know that there are things out there that are really looking to take you out. You have to find the right fundamentals. You have to find the right tribe to have an empowering life, to be able to have an empowering lifestyle. This is not about just, this is, yes, we're creating, funds for the Alzheimer's, and helping people. But it's like really you paying attention to what you're doing for yourself. How are you taking care of yourself? And how important is that to you? And if that's hard, it's just being able to find out what's important to you. Who will benefit other than you by you taking care of yourself?
Yep, that's right.
So you got to think bigger than yourself. Sometimes you might even say to yourself, maybe I don't deserve it. Then don't think about yourself. Think about your daughter. Think about your grandchild. Think about the foundation. For me, what I do and what keeps me on track, and I fall by the wayside every so often. And this is what you call your why.
Yes.
And my why is not seeing women getting beat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My why is having men be able just to express themselves and to connect with themselves. What's stronger, what's bigger than you? And it all comes to doing these daily disciplines, the habits, you know what I mean? Your identity, believing that you are something before it has happened. I didn't think I was enough until I made this whole idea of who I was as, I deserved it, and started working that way. I said to myself, what are the things that will help me become this identity? And I worked that way. So it's a huge thing. So
yeah, that's
go ahead,
huge. That's
yeah.
huge. Tony, Sweet Tea wants to know the name of the book again.
Which book is that?
Let me see. The book.
What I can tell you, the 4 Agreements, which is Don Miguel Ruiz.
Okay.
And if you're looking for a book of what we're talking about, you might have heard of her, Deborah. Her name is she passed away like maybe about 5-6 years ago. Yeah. Louise Hay.
Yes, she's amazing.
Louise Hay. And Louise Hay wrote the book, You Can Save Your Life. You Can Heal Your Life. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you about what we were just talking about here. This is pretty big, and then we can go anywhere you want to. In my coaching circle, Heroic, which is an international organization that's like really changed my life, big thinkers from around the world, I did this thing called the mirror test. And the mirror test was something that I got from Louise Hay. And it was being able to get up every day for 30 days. Just do it for 30 days or one day 30 times. Look in the mirror for 1 minute and say, I love you exactly who you are. You are the best. Start
Yeah.
saying affirmations for 30 seconds. And don't you know that when Louise presented this to people that they couldn't do it,
Mm-hmm. That's
people
true.
could they can't do it.
They can't do it.
They can't look at themselves. And
Yep.
what I'm saying is
Yep.
that this is self-love.
It's
You have to
self-love.
love your, you have to be able to look yourself and that's what changed my life. Being able to say, number one, Anthony, you are enough.
Yes.
Exactly who you are. Yes, you want to be able to strive, but right now you are enough.
Yes.
So, in fact, a couple of the when we did the Fit Fam, I did I love who I am and I love where I'm going.
Yes.
All
Yes.
inclusive. So I love who I am. I love this presence of who I am, everything. But yeah, I'd like to level up, but I love who I am. And you have to be able just to embrace that, and in a really deep way.
Yeah, definitely. I
You
agree.
can you can heal your life.
Yeah, you can heal. Oop, I think I left out your life, but you guys
Yes.
get the gist of it. Yes, it's the 4 agreements, Sweet Tea said. That's what she was looking for. But
Yes.
you can heal your
Heal
life.
your life. Oh
Yeah,
my God. Oh my God.
that's Louise Hay. And you know what? I think it's so important what you shared, Tony, about the fact that we struggle with
Yeah.
looking in the mirror and
Yes.
saying that we love
Yes.
ourselves. That
Absolutely.
is what that mean exactly. And so
Absolutely.
a lot of us as caregivers, it's almost a situation where some of the stuff that's been broken
Yes.
before, we have now been pushed into a situation where we got to care for a loved one.
Yeah.
And here we haven't been caring for ourselves. And now we're having to care for someone else. I
Yeah.
know for me, I was caring for myself, but I think I went into supercharged mode with my wellness. Of course, I was
Wow.
also going through breast cancer, but then
Yeah.
I had to learn how to say no.
Yeah.
And I had to put my health and my wellness first. And
Yes.
everything else had to fall behind that, including caring for my mom,
Yeah.
because I had to put that as a priority to take care of
Absolutely.
Deborah so that
Absolutely.
I could take care of mom.
Absolutely.
Because if I was just let myself just get torn down, I would be dragging around trying to take care of her and
Yeah.
might not be here,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
because it was just too much, to deal with that. I might have missed some treatments myself, like the other Deborah that I mentioned. Who knows what might happen? So
Yeah.
making sure you're putting yourself numero uno, number one, is critical. This is non-negotiable. Just like
Non-negotiable.
you said earlier,
Non-negotiable.
it's non-negotiable. Your health, your wellness, you have to make it a priority and a non-negotiable. And if
Yeah.
someone asks you to do something and you really feel like, hey, I really can't do this,
Yeah.
because there's going to be some things that you can't do because
Yeah.
you're so good about your health and wellness.
Yeah.
I'm in those situations now. I'm so much ahead with my awareness and my health and wellness that I can't take a morning and say, okay, somebody asked me to come to this event,
Okay.
I'll be there.
That's all
Someone
right.
asked me, because now it's one of those things where every single, at least 5 days a week, I'm doing things for Deborah's health.
Yeah.
And so I'm not talking about that situation. I'm talking
Yeah.
about when you don't take care of yourself. You
Yeah.
don't take care of yourself. And there is always a situation that comes up that you run over to. And the thing you said you were going to do
Yeah.
today to take care of yourself always falls through the cracks.
Yeah.
It's always some other excuse, somebody that you have to do something
Yeah.
for. And that just happens to derail you, to sabotage
Yeah. Yeah.
your health and
Yeah.
wellness. Those are the things I'm talking about that you have to learn how to say no to. You have to know that you deserve it. You deserve to say to yourself, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I love you. And
Yeah.
I am grateful
Yeah.
for this journey that we're on. You have to reconnect to your
Yeah.
selfhood, okay, to who you are, and then you can help other people. You can't serve from an empty cup.
That's it.
And a lot of us are doing that. A lot of us feel like, of course I can. No, you can't, because at some point the
Yeah.
cup will be empty. And whether that results in mental issues, depression,
Yeah.
diabetes,
Yes.
PTSD. I mean, we
Yeah.
can name a host of things
Yeah.
that can turn into, because your cup is now empty and
Right.
you're getting to the crud
Yeah.
that's at the bottom, and that's what you serving other people with. And
Preach.
guess what? Now there's no more crud.
Yeah.
And so you are totally running on nothing.
Nothing.
So
Nothing.
that's what
It's
we don't want for you.
Deborah, the thing is, you have to make it, the self-care thing we talk about, the sleep thing, meditation, the journaling, all the things, again, the fundamentals, understand this is important so you can be able just to really digest this. The fundamentals put you in a position to go for the challenges or to prepare you for the challenges. That's what the fundamentals are. So, I mean, yeah, again, sleeping, eating, nutrition, meditation. There's a whole lot of stuff, dancing, the word could be just something in essence that prepares your mind, prepares your body to deal with the challenges. You have to look at the fundamentals as not as a doing thing, but a being thing.
Yes.
This is not drudgery. This is who you are. This is your identity. There's nobody can tell me that not to get up for me at at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning to get to my CrossFit class, and then go to my hot hit class or my hot yoga class. I've been doing that for about 7 years now,
Right.
because that's who I am as a person. It's your identity.
It's who you are. It's your
It's
that's exactly how I
you
feel.
have to. This is not drudgery. This is who you are. You're a changed person, and how
Yeah.
you change is you change it from the habits, and what keeps you on chart is what your why is. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because that will propel you when you're having those days in which you don't feel like doing it.
Yes.
Does that make
Absolutely.
sense, Deborah?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's very important. Can you believe? I can't even believe we've been on for over 2 hours. Crazy.
I gotta stop. I gotta stop talking so much there.
I mean, and you know what? Thank you for those of you who have hung in. Some of you have popped
Yeah.
in and popped out. Sweet Tea, thanks for your comments.
Why don't we do a meditation real quick there?
Made a comment about nutrition and breath work and meditation needing to be integrated into our daily lives. Thank you for that. Very, very true. We need to have that be integrated into our lives on a daily basis. It's nothing wrong. Taking care of yourself, self-care is not a bad word. It is not a bad, it is self-love. It is
Self-love.
non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
And also I wanted to make sure I mentioned that one of the things that Sweet Tea shared was that she connected paying for life insurance and policies and stuff for her parents to her bank account, so that comes out monthly. A lot of times those are the things that we have to do just to make sure we have these policies in place. We can't just say, oh, I'll get around to it, and then you think that you can remember to pay it. You really can't.
Yeah.
So just remember, there are those tools where we could put things on recurring payment and everything. And so I do have the link up for the PayPal. I wanted to make sure that I ask everybody again, and thank you so much. Speaking Only Communications, we know who that is, for making a donation. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. We have some other, we're going to still keep collecting donations. I've talked to a couple of companies, and I will be recognizing them. You'll see some messages that I'll be putting up for anybody who is making donations and thanking them publicly, for helping us with funding. One of the things I wanted to say is we do have meditation. A lot of times we bring guests in who can hang out with us for 15, 30, 45 minutes if you can, but you don't have to. And you can join us as a guest in our meditation call. Usually Tony, myself, and Casey are there, and we welcome you and can educate you about meditation. This is something that you definitely want to adopt as part of a practice for yourself. So you are always welcome to join us. Again, you could always go to GoWellnessCircle.com or lightofgoldpr.com and message us there. Again, we have our DR trip coming up in October. Anybody interested in joining us for that, go ahead and reach out to us in real time. We're happy to share with you all the stuff that we have going on. Want to thank the K District and Juneteenth NY for supporting us with live streaming and helping us cross promote this to the community and the audiences that we need to get this to. So we are so thankful for our wonderful partnerships and our fantastic speakers who have been wonderful. My niece Michelle Logan, Casey Carpenter, and Tony Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to close out with a meditation. I also want to make sure I thank my team who's been working on this tirelessly. My virtual team includes Jay, Katrina, and Jessica. They've been working on the promotions, the imagery, the emails, the whole thing, including helping me navigate all of this so that I can live stream to you today. So thank you so much, and thank you for this great conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tony so that we could go ahead and close out with meditation.
Thank you, Deborah. It's been such an honor and privilege, and again, the invitation is out for, meditation, just being able just to allow yourself to come into the stillness, come into the calmness. What meditation does is if you can get an idea of a hockey rink and they use that Zamboni to smooth out the ice, for the hockey players. Well, what meditation does, it smooths out the depression and all the anxiety that's in your mind if you just take some time to do that. So what I want you to do is just wherever you're at, if you're sitting in a chair, sit in your chair upright, maybe shoulders back, head up. And then what I want you to do is I'm going to say a couple of things, and I just want you just to allow yourself to either close your eyes or just relax your eyes, come right into the meditation. Take some quiet time, and here's the thing, you're going to get a lot of thoughts. Be okay with the thoughts. You'll always have thoughts. Always. What you want to do is just look at the thought, say hello to the thought, and let the thought go out the other door. There will always be thoughts. All you want to do is just pay attention at this point to your breath. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Concentrate on your breath as it's going in through your nose, in your lungs, down to your belly. Deep breath out. Again, deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Your breath is considered an anchor to concentrate on your meditation. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Let's do another anchor. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Ask, why am I here? Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. How can I serve profoundly? Deep breath out. Deep breath in. I deserve to be my best. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. I love myself exactly who I am. Deep breath out. One more minute. Deep breath in. I love me unconditionally. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. I'm so grateful to be alive. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. 30 seconds. Deep breath in. Expand your breath. Deep breath out. Feel the energy. Deep breath in. Feel the joy, the mission. Deep breath out. 15 seconds. Deep breath in. I deserve to be at my best. Deep breath out. 10 seconds. I'm a winner. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. 5 seconds. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Pause. 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 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Namaste.
Namaste. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I want to make sure next time I'm going to have something up here that includes Miss Shirley's image as well. I'm going to put something together for the moms. And so God bless all of these wonderful moms, Casey's included, who we know are smiling down on seeing what their children are doing. They would be very, very proud of everything that we shared today. And I just want to say again, thank you to Michelle, Casey, and Tony, my Light of Gold team, our wonderful sponsors and partners, the K District and Juneteenth NY for helping to stream this on their platforms and for sharing about this event. We're going to be doing some more stuff, so just go ahead and reach out to us. We thank you so much for being with us on this Saturday, this spectacular Saturday. Go out there and make the most of the weekend. Make sure self-love is not a bad word. Self-care, definitely, it's non-negotiable. Make sure that you take care of you every single day. All right. Take care, everybody. Love you. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye. Okay. Almost there with the ending of the stream. Just hang with me for a second.